Update. My best friend's fiancé groped me at a party and now I think our friendship is over. Original post. Probably not the first time someone asked this, but my female 30 best friend's female 30 fiancé male 26 touched me. I slapped him hard twice before he stopped. He was like, okay, fine, and left the kitchen. The friend female 31 that held the party witnessed it. We don't know how to go from there. Knowing her, she is probably not gonna leave him, and maybe cut us off instead. She has an 11-month-old daughter with this douche. I had a very low-cut and backless dress. I needed to mention this because I feel immense guilt. I know my dress was commented on a lot that night. I can't help but wonder if I brought this on myself. What I need is simple. Should I or should I not tell her? If I tell her, this may end our 25-year-long friendship, because she's head over heels in love with him. But how can I let it go? Edit. Thank you very much for the support. My best friend knows I never liked her fiancé, so I was afraid she would think I just want to end the relationship. I didn't see my friend, the host, coming in the kitchen. He thought we were alone. I think he stopped because of that rather than me hitting him, because he kept saying, "Ow, that's adorable," when I slapped him. So my friend, the host, called me and told me that my best friend has messaged her on IG, asking if something has happened between me and her fiancé at a party. She told her what happened, and my best friend hasn't answered her yet. Should I talk to her or let her contact me herself? The host reckons I should wait and see what her reaction to her fiancé touching her best friend is. I can't report him. He was drunk, and I was drinking, and I have no way of proving that I wasn't drunk. You know how these things are important in such cases. Scanty dress and alcohol, etc. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. What kind of friend is she if she ditches you after you tell her you were harassed/violated? Not any friend I'd want to have around. If this friend came to you and told you that your boyfriend touched her, would you ditch her? Would you stick with that guy? Probably not. Your dress does not have anything to do with what happened. A disgusting man is the reason this happened. The only reason. This is illegal behavior if you're in the US. You have a witness. You could charge him if you wanted to. I'd tell your friend, because what if he gets handsy again? He doesn't have any consequences. If the friend does cut you off, then that's a blessing in disguise. You don't need to be around people like that. A mutual friend tried to violate me. I told my friends and they stuck with him. 3 years later, I'm doing amazing. It sucked at first to lose a decade-long friendship, but now I'm surrounded by people that would be supportive no matter what. Please do not feel this guilt. A gross, disgusting man did something horrible. This is not your fault. We thought about charging him, but I don't know how serious they would take it. You did not bring anything on yourself. He shouldn't have even touched you, much less after you said to stop. Tell her this happened, and if she doesn't believe you or cuts you out, it's probably better she's not in your life as well as him. Probably should have mentioned this in the post. She doesn't have a job, so it won't be easy to break up with a baby and no job. If she doesn't break up, she will live with him with this knowledge. I know it's awful, but that sucks for her. He literally violated you. Offer her support if she chooses to break up with him, but don't sacrifice your safety for her comfort. I would gladly let her stay with me until she gets her life together. I don't think she would like to trade down her fancy apartment in the city, though. And now for the first update. I'll just dive right into the update. Many things have happened, but I'm unfortunately not any wiser for it. I usually have Wednesdays off and I like to have a lie-in till lunchtime. Today, however, I woke up to the door and phone ringing at 8:30. It was my best friend, so I buzzed her in. She turned up with him and the baby girl. They were both all smiles. I let them in and went to the bathroom. I took a shower. I have been getting angry red rash on my body since it happened, and a cold shower usually calm it down. When I got out, I found them in the kitchen making coffee. They had brought croissants with them. I just stood there waiting for them to talk, but my best friend just handed me the baby and started a small chat about the weather, and how the baby girl hasn't been sleeping well, etc. I didn't comment on anything, so she just looked at me and started crying. She told me that the douche and I were the people she trusted the most, and that it's tearing her apart seeing that we don't get along. She always felt like she had to choose between the two of us, and that she refused to do it anymore and needed us to at least be civil to each other. He was patting her on the back. I said, "That ship has sailed, don't you think?" So she turned angrily to him and asked him to do what he had came here for. So he started apologizing and saying that he was very drunk and didn't remember a lot, but that is very remorseful. I wasn't looking at him, and when he finished, I asked her if she knew what he did. He interrupted her and said, "Yes, we have already discussed this." I told her that I will speak to her later and they left. But before they went, she hugged me and said she's sorry. I went back to bed. When I woke up, I was still so angry. How could she just bring him unannounced to my place and demand that I forgave him on the spot? So I texted her that I did not appreciate her bringing him into my home when he, not 3 days ago, violated me. She said I was exaggerating. I asked her if she would think it was okay that someone pinched her like that, and laughed when she couldn't fend him off. I could show him his nail marking. She told me didn't remember any of it. I texted her that I'm planning to report him to the police. She called me immediately and was shaking with anger. How could I do something like this to her and her baby? Why am I being so selfish? I asked how she is terrified of him when she knows what he's capable of. That the reason he hurt me was because I didn't like him, and it bothered him. She started crying, then she ended with, "How will you prove that it wasn't you who came on to him? There's always two sides of a story, and the police will want to hear both." I hang up. She called a few times more, but I didn't answer. She texted now that she loved me, but that I must think of her before doing anything stupid that can ruin her life and our relationship. So that's that. I am probably going to lose her, and no matter how easy many of you think it is to do the right thing, I feel like I am the biggest POS right now. Never answer her calls again. She's a piece of trash. But first text her, "It really hurts and scares me that you would lie to the police to protect someone that did that to me. You know, name violated me. He admitted it. And you're still willing to lie to the police to protect him? Why would you do that?" If her response doesn't directly refute that the dude did that to you, then you have the evidence you need to, hopefully, ensure her lie won't be taken seriously. If she tries to lie, the officers will even let her know that doing so could result in legal action against her as well. This will also be useful if they start spreading false information to mutual friends. If the friendship is doomed, you might as well do whatever is needed to protect yourself. You report him, you use the host as your witness, and go from there. Screw your friend if she isn't pissed as hell about what he did. I just knew it in my heart that she would be this way. Why do you say you knew this? I'm genuinely curious whether this feeling of yours comes from some past behaviors, or is it about her relationship with this douche, and the fact that they have a daughter together. I know how she thinks, and she always ditched her friends for tall, handsome men. He is a bully and doesn't treat her well, and I have told her that multiple times, and she always defended him. I thought this time won't be any different, even if it's much more serious. I'm so sorry this happened to you. What a disgusting violation, and what a trash friend to protect her pred of a boyfriend. None of it is your fault. You are not being selfish. You did not ruin anyone's life or relationship. Take pictures of the nail marks and compile any text messages, / proof you might have. The fact that your friend is throwing doubt on you makes me believe they'll do whatever they need to maintain that he's not guilty of what he did. Cover your behind, keep your head up, you'll get through this. I did that. It was the friend's idea. I would have never think of it otherwise. I even have bruising on my wrist. It got darker the next day. I took a picture of it as well. My friend glanced a couple of times at it. Turned out she probably knew what he did that same night, because my friend's husband kicked the douche out not long after I left. She had to leave the party early. She must have asked him why they were being kicked out. Didn't try to talk to me until she showed up today. I am so angry and disappointed. Now for more update. Hi again. We have just had a group call with me, the witness, and her to try and find out what's really going on in her relationship. We started with telling her that she could trust us, and we would do anything to protect her. I know that. We asked her if he ever hurt her or her baby. No, never. If he had forced himself on her. No. She told us they rarely had intimacy, and that she almost always was the initiator. But this is going to be disgusting, I'm sorry. When they got back from the party, they did it twice, and he was rough. She'll like it that way. And they have been doing it every day this week. But she's a bit off because she's afraid he's fantasizing about me and not her. I just sat there in shock. The witness asked her, "Do you understand that if I wasn't there, he would have forced himself on her? Is that the fantasy that put you off?" She was silent for a moment, and then said, "Nah, he's not like that." I asked her if she believed me. "Of course I do. I know it touched you and it was wrong, but he told me you kinda moaned, so he thought you were into it." Then he saw the witness and was embarrassed and left. I started yelling at her and told her that Mitch didn't believe me at all. But she much believed me, but she also believed he misread the signs. So the witness asked her if she was going to cover up for him if we pressed charges. She said no, but he had told her he would never forget it if I did, whatever the outcome is. So now we know how he's going to manipulate the situation. Now for the last story. My 32 female soon-to-be ex-husband, 35 male, is dating my brother's 30 male ex-girlfriend, 23 female. I want to ask him to please not bring her around our daughter again. I know this is a pretty complicated situation, so I'll try to explain as clearly as possible. I'm 32 female. I was married to a man who is 35 male for 5 years, dating for 2 before that. Earlier this year, he asked for a divorce. It was completely out of the blue. He was incredibly cold and disconnected when he asked for it, which led me to believe he was planning this for a while. He moved out within the week. Our 4-year-old daughter and I stayed in the house. Recently, my daughter's daycare had a Halloween fundraiser. My husband and I both attended separately, as well as some of our families, including my brother, 30 male. When my brother was younger, he dated a young woman for a short amount of time. Our family was very against the relationship. She was much younger than him. No laws were broken, but she was very young. It didn't last very long, and he broke up with her to date his now wife, 30 female, who is a lovely woman, and a close friend of mine. Once my brother met her, his entire life turned around. They have a beautiful family, and they're all very happy. I was incredibly shocked when my husband showed up to my daughter's daycare with this girl, who is now 23, as his date. I think it was incredibly disrespectful of him to bring a new girlfriend to our daughter's daycare without any prior discussion. I think the entire relationship is inappropriate. Obviously, I'm not happy seeing him date anyone, but the fact that he's dating her is disgusting, especially since she has a prior history with the family. I don't have any contact with him aside from coordinating pickup and drop-off times, but I did pull him aside at the fundraiser and tell him I thought it was inappropriate. He didn't have much of an answer. He pretty much just brushed me off. I haven't spoken to him since, but he has visitation of our daughter this weekend. Is it inappropriate for me to ask him not to bring her around our daughter again? I really am not comfortable with it at all. To answer everyone's question, yes. My husband met her when she was dating my brother, which is when she was 16. Edits. I'm not asking if I have a legal right to ask him not to bring her around. I'm asking if it is an unreasonable thing to ask of him. I absolutely do not think she should never be around my daughter. I think that the relationship should become more serious before she's around her, so my daughter does not get attached to someone who is just going to disappear from her life. I would also appreciate if my soon-to-be ex would consult me before bringing new people into my daughter's life, since I would do the same to him. We have a custody arrangement. I have primary custody, as well as sole legal custody. He has visitation. Now for the top advice before the little update. My dad had girlfriend after girlfriend until I met my amazing stepmom. I knew she was amazing because he waited to introduce us until he was moving in. This led me to accepting her easily. Plus, she gave me an awesome older brother to video game with. Oh, and another brother and 2 sisters. My mom ripped my father to shreds when I was around 5, however, because I became attached to one of his girlfriends and was upset about it. After that, he didn't introduce me to his girlfriends unless he had been seeing them for at least a few months or so, which only happened twice. My stepmom and his baby mama. Mine is the one who had kids, but that was slightly unrelated. I only knew he was seeing someone if my grandma happened to mention it. My dad was young, dumb, and a party animal. I'm grateful for all the fun we had growing up together on weekends. Video gaming, parties, and shindigs. But I appreciate my mom standing in for me about the girlfriend situation. This prevented a lot of potential heartache. If I wasn't broke, I'd give you an award for this, because this shows a child's perspective of what is happening to OP. And she fully grasps this. Glad you chimed in. You can ask, but someone who will dangle the new girlfriend in front of their ex at daycare is likely to take zero notice. You don't do something like this, unless the aim is to signal to your ex. As normal people would discuss it first. As you didn't indicate your ex's very low intelligence, I expect it was intentional. Do you two share custody? No, we do not. You can include it in legal custody if you go for it. As a primary parent, you can dictate who is around your child when with the other parent. Why don't you talk to him and make an agreement that neither of you would introduce your daughter to a partner unless the relationship is serious? It has been so for a certain number of months. That sounds very reasonable for both of you. This is probably the route I'm going to go. How'd your brother's relationship end? I'd be worried about ulterior motives or revenge. With her, it ended badly. The relationship between him and her, and him and his current wife, did have a bit of an overlap. That makes your brother more of an a-hole than her. Not gonna lie, OP, I feel this is an incredibly one-sided story. I feel if the young new girlfriend was on here, she would have a very different story to yours. My brother was absolutely the a-hole here. I think his actions were mortifying, and I'm sure she would agree as well. Damn, no shortage of trash-tier men in your life. Tell me about it. Update. Thank you very much to the kind people reaching out to me. It has come to my attention that due to the fact that I have sole legal and physical custody of my daughter, I can in fact make it a stipulation that he doesn't bring intimate partners around her while she is in his care. According to my attorney, it's very common. Thank you all. I have spoken to both my attorney and my soon-to-be ex-husband about adding the stipulation into the visitation agreement. He was agreeable to it as long as it worked both ways, so for me as well, which I was of course agreeable to. Thank you to everyone for your advice and various viewpoints. Update. Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend's girl best friend out of my Halloween party because of her costume? Original post. I, 19 female, had a Halloween party over the weekend. I invited my boyfriend, 21 male, and a bunch of our friends over, including his girl best friend. I will call her Agatha. My boyfriend and I had decided to dress up as Peter Pumpkin Eater. If you haven't seen the costume, the guy wears a shirt that says Peter and a girl dresses as a pumpkin. Because, well, you know. I was pretty excited just because I thought it was a funny and cute costume. Agatha texted me the night before the party and asked what my costume was going to be. I explained that couple's costume my boyfriend and I would be wearing, and she replied she would probably just come as a sexy cat. Fast forward to the night of the party. Everyone is having fun and it's a nice time. Well, it was, until Agatha walked in dressed as a pumpkin. She went over and hugged my boyfriend. I swear the room went silent. I got irritated and asked if I could speak with her privately, and we went into my bedroom. I asked why she chose that costume, since she knew the details of the joint costume between my boyfriend and I. She said she didn't see the big deal and thought it would be a better group costume. I told her I didn't think it was funny and I would prefer that she change. I offered her a witch costume that she could borrow for the night. She turned red and started to yell that I don't get to control what she wears. I told her that she was disrespecting my relationship by insinuating that my boyfriend and her hook up. She kept screaming about how it was funny and I needed to lighten up. I ended up asking her to leave. She stormed out of the house and I returned to the party. The mood had shifted and the night felt ruined. My boyfriend agrees that she crossed the line and is planning on cutting her off completely. But a few of our friends are saying that I was being dramatic and I should have let her stay. I guess I'm just wondering, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You weren't dramatic at all. It seems like she just wanted to ruin your couple's costume. You were doing the right thing and talking to her, and she just didn't hear you at all. So, it was good taking her out of your house. It's nice your boyfriend supports you. I'm very grateful to have such a supportive boyfriend. A lot of people were calling him out on my other post for not standing up, but I think he was just in shock and didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. That's the problem though. Not wanting to make anyone uncomfortable leaves you as the one uncomfortable. Obviously you handled it, but still, you shouldn't have had to alone. Not the a-hole. She overstepped by doing that. She clearly knew you'd be bothered, and she may have more than friends' feelings for your boyfriend. I'm wondering if there was ever an intimate relationship between them at one point. Jealousy is an ugly monster. He said that nothing intimate has ever happened between them. I do trust him, because he was honestly shocked she would pull something like that, since she has always treated me with kindness. I think she has decided she does have romantic feelings for your boyfriend, and is intentionally trying to cause trouble in your relationship. She went out of her way to find out what your costume would be, lied about hers, came dressed as a pumpkin, and made a beeline for your boyfriend to hug him. You have a great boyfriend there. Not all guys would be willing to cut out a girl BFF, especially without you pushing for it. You are not the a-hole. She is. Absolutely not the a-hole. She sucks, and knew exactly what she was doing. I'm glad to see your boyfriend is sticking up for your relationship. I would have done the same thing. We talked about it, and we agreed that it would be equally as disrespectful as my guy friend showing up in a shirt that says Peter. Now for the update 3 months later. Well, I have an update. I meant to post one a few months ago, but I really needed time to process the events that occurred after this whole ordeal. I'm glad I waited though, because you all need to hear this one. Many people pointed out that my boyfriend must be sleeping with Agatha since she went absolutely bonkers for seemingly no reason. I thought since he immediately took my side and blocked her and everything that you were wrong. Well, it was me who was wrong. It turns out that Agatha and my boyfriend have been sleeping together for months, and they were just really good at hiding it. Until she decided that she didn't want to be his mistress anymore. I found this out when I was at his house and hanging out in his room. He was showering after a workout and I heard this vibrating noise. He had taken his phone, and mine was right next to me, so I couldn't figure out what it was. So I opened his bedside table drawer and found a second phone. My gut told me that something wasn't right. Why would he have a second phone? It didn't take me long to guess his password, 1234, and my fears were confirmed. There was a missed call from Agatha. I looked through the messages and found out the truth. Not only had they been sleeping together, she recently found out that she was pregnant. This was the reason she pulled a stunt on Halloween. She was trying to force his hand. I also saw that he was messaging other girls as well, and I was completely devastated. After a shower, he found me grabbing all of my belongings and putting them in my bag. He asked me why I was leaving, and I told him because we were finished. I threw his phone on the bed, and he looked like he was going to vomit. He started pleading me to hear him out, but I didn't want to hear it. He could have all of those other girls. I didn't want him anymore. He followed me out of the house shaking and crying. He even followed me all the way out to my car trying to block my path, and I went over the grass around him and didn't look back. He sent me a long message about how he never wanted to hurt me, that he wanted me back, and how he was using his work phone to text all of these women so I wouldn't find out. That was really helpful. I sent his boss a nice little message about how company property was being misused, that I saw on LinkedIn he no longer works for that company anymore. He is blocked and everything now. I hope him and Agatha have a magical life with their baby. Oh, I heard through the grapevine that he got one of the other women pregnant too. I'm glad I dodged that bullet. As for me, I'm currently in therapy working on my trust issues and learning how to love myself again after this situation. I have been putting myself out there again and have cut contact with anyone who knew what was happening behind my back. Glad you found out when you did, before somehow you ended up baby mama number 3. He's not worth your time. Way to go getting out. I couldn't even imagine. I'm glad that I found out who he truly was before I invested more time and energy in our relationship. I didn't want to hurt you, so I secretly went behind your back knocking up other women left and right. See how much I care? We can work it out, right? Wow, girl, you dodged a bullet. I bet Agatha thought she was the only other woman. I'm sure she is absolutely fuming. The cherry on top is you walking away from this dumpster fire of a mess, going on to live your best life, while those mistresses fight over your trashy ex. Have fun, ladies. But in all seriousness, get an STD check. Then get another STD check in a few months. Some STDs take time to pop up. Considering he was as easy as a Sunday morning, not giving a flying F about your health, get checked then get checked again. Even if y'all used rubbers, is not a guarantee. Thank you for that advice. I got an STD check after I found out about the cheating, but I will definitely schedule another one for this week. Yeah, he was a piece of work. I ignored many red flags because I was so happy to finally feel loved by someone. Well, that wasn't real love. I'm glad I found this out before I truly invested more time into the relationship. I'm looking forward to the future and finding someone special in my life. LMAO, tattling to his boss about the phone is the icing on the cake. I'm glad you're taking time to heal and focus on yourself. I honestly had no idea why he even decided to tell me that. He said he only did it because of his access to the second phone, so I just thought his boss would love to know how company property was being used. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying no to my boyfriend's adult daughter moving in with me? I, 41 female, have been in a relationship with my boyfriend, 43 male, for 5 years. We both have children from previous relationships. His oldest is 20, mine is 9. His oldest lives with her mother, and she and her mother are fed up with the situation. 20-year-old is supposed to be working and attending classes per the terms of her continuing to live there, but only recently got a job and has missed a lot of school. She wants to stay out all night partying and does not want to follow the rules or treat her mother respectfully. Her mother is at her wit's end between the added burden on her finances and the disruption to her household and the younger siblings. I could write a really long novel about all the things that have transpired. Now, my boyfriend has volunteered for her to move across the country into my house that I own to live with me and my kids. He lives here too, but his work takes him away from home for about 10 months of each year in total. His daughter is fully aware of this. Being that his kids are so far away, I can count the number of times I have spent time with them on one hand, and understandably, they have never really felt much desire to talk to me otherwise. So, we don't know each other all that well. I told him I think it is a terrible idea, as I don't want drinking and edibles going on in my house, nor someone coming in late. I also don't want her bringing strangers into my house and around my kids as she starts meeting new people. I get that these are normal things at her age, so I'm not trying to make her seem like a bad person. I just don't want it in my house. I have been working for years in my ability to set boundaries and enforce them, but I'm still terrible at it because it still gives me anxiety and I'm conflict avoidant. I know I'm going to need to get better at this anyway, since the teenage years are looming ahead for my brood, but I worry that I'm not up to this task presently, and she's going to turn my home and my life upside down and be a negative influence on my kids, who understandably think she's the coolest. When I informed him this, he hung up on me. And in the days since, the sum total of our communication has been him asking if I've thought about it anymore, or if I'm still making it all about me. It is starting to feel like this might be a metaphorical hill to die on. So before I persist, I want to know, am I the a-hole for saying no? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend barely lives there. You would be the on-site parent to a 20-year-old that has already completely disrespected her own mother's house rules. He won't be there to control the situation. He is being a total a-hole. This. OP, tell your boyfriend that his daughter is not a child, and not your child. There is no reason for her to move into your home. She's an adult. If she doesn't want to live with her mom, she can get her own place. Or, your boyfriend can finance a place for her if she feels she needs it. None of this involves you. Don't do it. It's not for you, it's for your kids. If she doesn't show respect to her mother, she won't respect your house either. Not the a-hole. And your boyfriend is unreasonable for thinking this is a good solution, when it won't affect him nearly as much as it does you and your family. Not the a-hole. He's volunteered for her to come and live in your house that you own? Hell no. The next time you talk with him, tell him yes, this is all about you. Because you own the house. You would be the one having to live under the roof with her. And you would be the one having to enforce the rules alone most of the time. She's 20, and if she's having problems living with her mother, well then she's an adult now, and she can move out, get her own place, and do adult things. Not the a-hole. Boyfriend is welcome to have his daughter move into his home. But realistically, your home is a place that he visits. He's not there 10 months of the year. If he wants to rent a place for his daughter to live that he stays in when he's in, which may mean that he isn't helping financially with your place, which would be fair as it isn't clear from your post if he covers any of the expenses at your place, that's totally reasonable. But just declaring, my daughter is going to move to your place because she won't listen to her mom, and won't be here so I won't be any help, and what do you mean that's a terrible idea? That's not reasonable. That's a why would you stay with this guy territory. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to put money into a savings account not in my name? Me and my girlfriend have been together for around 2.5 years. We live together and split rent and bills 50-50, but both have our own personal bank and savings accounts and do not have a joint account. We both have money in our own savings account for various things. My girlfriend has a normal savings account that splits for various things, and also has an individual savings account specifically for saving to buy a house / get a mortgage. This is something we'd both like in the future, and my girlfriend suggested that I put a percentage of my savings each month into that account so we could both contribute towards the deposit. I said I have no problem paying my half of the deposit, but I'd rather just take it out of my savings when the time comes. She asked why, and I just said I wasn't comfortable putting my money into an account I have no access to, and if anything did happen to the relationship, I could have lost a lot of money. She took this as me saying I think we'll break up, but I was just making sure I was protected, in case anything like that happened. She said it seemed like I wasn't as serious about the relationship as her since I wasn't willing to contribute to the savings account. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to put some of my savings in an account that is not in my name and that I do not have access to? Edit. Just to add, her account has slightly better interest rates, and the type of account cannot be opened anymore, which is why she suggested her account. With regard to me getting my name added onto the account, it wouldn't be possible for her to add me, as is the type of account you cannot add others to it. Not the a-hole. It is a massive risk. Sounds like you guys need to have open and honest discussions about finances, and if appropriate, have your name added to the account. I hate when people automatically go for the whole, "Oh, so you think we're gonna break up? You don't believe in us. You're not as invested in this relationship as I am." BS. God forbid girlfriend dies, and OP is declared next of kin/POA and has no access to the account. All the money OP contributed would be gone. Not the a-hole. If you're going to put money into a savings account, it needs to be in both of your names and you need to set it up so that you both have to approve any transactions or withdrawals that take place. If your relationship goes downhill and it's all in an account in her name, then that could turn into a nightmare of a scenario for you. I see it as a bit of a red flag that she's now throwing a "you're not serious about the relationship" line at you for you literally being sensible about savings. It sounds like a line meant to coerce you into doing what she wants in this scenario. Why do people just dream up stuff to be mad about? What if there was an emergency and she was out of town and you needed the money? There are so many reasons it should be accessible to both depositors. Not the a-hole. It wouldn't be available anyway. If it's the account I think it is, then it is set up specifically with incentives from the government to encourage first-time buyers. Up to £300,000 in savings, they will add 20% on top. The scheme added for new entrants, but anyone with an account that is still depositing is able to benefit. So, there's no way OP could get his name added, or get a better deal.